She's like the female James Bond.
She's safety chick.
The safety chick.
I love that safety chick. That's what
She calls
it.
herself the safety chick.
I was a stalking victim, having to learn every possible aspect of personal safety to stay alive.
The safety chick. We love her.
Yeah.
As the social media age progresses, it's become increasingly clear that nothing that is lived on the internet can ever truly disappear. Model Chrissy Teigen has learned that very thing firsthand over the last few months. TV personality Courtney Stodden came forward to share Teigen's mean and bullying tweets to her from years ago. And both actress Lindsay Lohan and clothing designer Michael Costello also came forward to reveal that they too were bullied by Teigen. Why is bullying so prevalent in today's society? And what can be done to combat the bullies? My guest today can help shed light on this disturbing behavior and discuss ways to help if you're being bullied. Sean James is a former NFL football player, turned Ford model, turned businessman after getting his MBA from George Washington University. He is the CEO of the wealth management firm Bequest and has also dedicated his life to the world of philanthropy. One of the organizations he has founded is Be in the Know About Bullying, which provides education and mentorship to students all over the country to help them be leaders in their communities and combat the bullying epidemic faced by our nation. Sean, thank you so much for being here today. So tell me, what led you to start Be in the Know About Bullying?
I think it's a two-part answer. I think some of it is innate. I think I grew up with parents that were very empathetic and always instilled in me to ask how I can help first before I talk about my own problems. And then I think also, I lived in the Midwest in a very small town. I grew up around a lot of, probably the town was like 99% white. And I think just being a Black kid in an environment, I had to navigate my skill set to be able to fit in. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And this is something that I've developed in answering this question over the years, because I can look back and reflect that what allowed me not to get bullied or to deal with racism was being a good athlete. And so I always lean on me being a good athlete, open the doors, because I was in an environment where sports was important. And I think what we fail to realize as adults, a lot of times we don't find our gifts until we get older. If we're business leaders or if we're TV personalities, all these things come later in life after you graduate college, when really the bullying starts at a very, very young age. And a lot of that behavior is based around mimic behavior of the parents or the guardians that you're around. So for me, I wanted to use my athletic ability to open up doors. But one thing that always stuck with me was always being the first kid picked and feeling some kind of way, even when I was a little boy, of why the people that were being picked last, what might they feel like? And that for me was the innate understanding of this is in me. It's not something that I'm doing for publicity. It's something that I think about. And if I think about it, it's something that I want to solve the problem of. And so that's where I think the initial part. And then I think as I was able to get to the NFL, I wanted to leverage my likeness and my popularity and spin it on its head, that athletes and celebrities can do their part in really helping this epidemic that we don't talk about until we have it on television and a big movie star or someone gets killed. And that's where I feel like, you know, that the alignment of growing up in an environment and then being popular as an adult, how can I bring these two things together? And that's really where I started Being the Know About Bullying.
So what, everybody, I think everybody should kind of know, but can you give me some examples of bullying behavior?
Well, I think what's happening now is people have taken this word bullying and really don't know the definition of bullying.
Right.
Bullying, honestly, well, I'm always going to be honest. The fact of the matter is, bullying, and you know what? I have a specific thing that I wrote down. The root of bullying will always be the same, regardless of where it's coming from, who it's coming from. It's to achieve power where he or she receives a higher social standing so they can control situations and or people to his or her advantage. At the heart of every bully, they're yearning for power. So it's a power play, right? It really is about power.
But doesn't it
I
also come from power? Yes, but also that insecurity, the deep rooted insecurity.
think well, let me comment on that. I think some of the biggest power players are insecure people.
Right.
I can go through
True.
CEOs that are extremely insecure. I can go through movie stars that are really insecure. We're dealing with one right now with Christy.
Right.
So
Right.
i- insecurity is a huge part of power. You know, insecurity is it creates fear, and fear creates I want to be in charge of something, right? Or the unknown.
So how
So
big of a part too, combining all these different things with social media, with our narcissistic society that has been created because of the, Kardashians of the world, the selfies of the world, the face apps of the world, everything that our society is dealing with in this day and age. How big of a part, or let me ask you this, you're going back to your childhood growing up, right? And the definition of like a physical bully on the playground. And that's, in the day, that's kind of what we older folks conjure up as a bully, right? But
right.
with the internet and social media and all that, the cowards can hide behind all that as well. So it's kind of a twofold. This is like, bullying on steroids with the way our society is now.
Well, this is what I have to say about that. Yeah, I think the way that you and I grew up and what we identified as bullying was physical. It was someone trying to beat you up or stuff you in a locker or, do something to you in the shower. It was something that was a very physical act. That now is something of an old school mentality that doesn't exist anymore. It's really what I call thumb thugs. It's people that have the ability to use their fingers to say things that they might not ever say in your face. And a lot of that comes from um, what we've created, which is called clickbait, right? The media companies want to see your engagement. They want to see what storyline they can run. And when we talk about celebrities and athletes, when someone says something very controversial, that gets a lot of media attention, even if it's good or bad. And I think that we've fallen away from really understanding that bullying is psychological. It is a disease. It is an epidemic. But I think a lot of it is really understanding to what you said. What is bullying now? And it's in 95% of it is not in your face. To be honest with you, if I hit you, that's an assault. That's not bullying. And we need to separate the two.
Exactly.
Bullying is
That's a good point,
when you
Sean.
right? When you hit someone or you're physically harmed to someone, there is no more bully talk. You've assaulted someone. You need to call the police and make sure that you've made a report that someone's assaulted you. So we need to really understand the difference between bullying and someone physically, uh, putting harm to you.
This is the other thing in this internet world. Why is it that people cannot grasp the fact that what you write, what you send, the minute you click send on any platform, it's out there for God and everyone to see forever. It never goes away. And that's, in the Chrissy Teigen thing, that's what happened. I mean,
Yeah,
this was a few years ago. And I think accountability is another big part. Hiding behind the social media or the ego, as you were saying, with, the more controversial I am, the meaner I get more popularity. Well, how many times have we seen, especially in this, stressed, racially related world that we're living in right now, you see all the time people losing their jobs or, having to step away because of things that they wrote years ago. Some,
yeah.
never realizing that it was going to come back up. And the thing is like, you know, it's the same thing as texting, and I always say with the young kids, the adolescent kids that I speak to and try to teach them sexting and all that stuff, it's like, it's going to come back to get you. You know, anytime you click send and it goes out there, you're never going to get that back. So the way I describe it to get people to understand is, do not send anything that you are not comfortable with being read on the, front page of a paper. That's the check. So, I think that's a really important thing. People have gotten so lax in just typing and with uncaring, unfeeling, understanding what you're doing. Words matter.
Yeah, they always matter. Well, this is what I have to say. I think to get to the subject matter, I think that when we start to kind of unfold the layers of Chrissy and, what is she famous for? I think her claim to fame was SI cover or a swimsuit edition. I don't think that she was ever a big fashion model. But what made her famous was her partner, John Legend. And I think once you tie someone like John Legend, who's an intellect that went to University of Penn, who has multiple Grammys, who I happen to like as an artist, John Legend's association with being a Democrat tied into Chrissy having the platform to attack every Republican that was out there. That's where it started, I think. It allowed her to be able to afford to do things. And she said it in a way that she was witty. People liked it. It was kind of quick. She always had a quick reply. What happens, though, is that if you don't monitor the things that you say, I don't know Chrissy. I could never talk about it. She could be a lovely woman. But what I do know of her, it's ugly. The things that she says to people and the things that she's tweeted to people have been very disrespectful. When you start talking about, I wish you would die, when you say things like that, it's hard to recover from that, right? I believe, and I have a saying, it's not always the act that defies, it's the response. So when we go back to what we're talking about, people being canceled for something that they did 30, 40 years ago, I have a problem with that. What I don't have a problem with is that you know what you were doing in the last 3 or 4 years, because social media has existed since 2010, Facebook arrived. Things have changed on the platform of what you say and what you do, and you can be canceled. Because I do not believe in cancel culture at all. But you have to have an awareness of the things that you're doing, a responsibility and accountability, especially when you are a celebrity. And let me get back to what I was saying. Chrissy Teigen is a celebrity based off her being a model. But what really put her on a platform was John Legend. So now we're talking about money. We're talking about platforms where it opened up doors for her to sign contracts. She has a cooking show. She has cookware. She has all these different things going on. And now these things resurface and someone's talking about pulling your line. Someone says, oh, we're not paying you anymore. And now you're associated with John Legend, who I think is a great guy. I don't agree with some of his policies, but for the most part, I think John Legend's a good guy. Now John has to answer the questions based around her behavior. And now you're bringing the very guy that brought you up to the place that you're at. Because John Legend didn't tweet those things. She did. So that's where it gets very complicated, because at the end of the day, I read enough about what she's done. She's made a public apology. She's done everything she possibly can. It's too late. You did these things and they were so bad. It wasn't like a little bad tweet. No, you told people they should die. You blacklisted people. You've made people lose their jobs. You've done a lot of things that now have caught up with you. Now, don't get me wrong. I think everyone deserves second chances. I believe that once you start to, I think, deal with making money and losing money based off your behavior on social media. Because at the end of the day, the real star is John Legend. And if you read anything right now, John Legend is the one that they're asking questions to, because we haven't seen Chrissy. And I think her writing a public apology is one thing, but we still haven't seen you verbally say anything on your social. We haven't seen you.
No, she did. She just wrote a big long thing. Mea culpa. I'm sorry. I hurt. My heart hurts more than you can ever imagine. I hurt worse than you do. She's tried that.
I read that.
And what happened though? But what's interesting, Sean, is that after she wrote that one, another guy, Michael Costello, came forward, fashion designer, saying, "Well, me too. I was bullied," as the ripple effect. So the question is too, getting back to like the core of a bully. All right. So what we're talking about, you're very valid in everything you're saying about the power status. And, I always say that believing your own hype is never a good thing, you know? And so, yeah, feeding the monster and creating all that and realizing that the more controversial she was, the better, the more attention she got. So we get all that. But you know what, Sean? At the very end of things, it's like the core of a human being. If we're talking about bullies, I can see her, comedians cutting people, being witty, all that. But Sean, she's talking about telling people to kill themselves. And this was 2017. This isn't like it was 10 years ago. So I'm saying,
And she got away with it. No, but what I'm trying to say is that she got away with it. And that's what we're not really talking about. When you let someone get away with those things, it only fuels the fire. She became worse.
yeah,
And that's what we're talking about. From 2015, from the time that John Legend became John Legend, no one really knew who Chrissy was. And her claim to fame is her Twitter account. People know Chrissy for her ability to, knock out celebrities, talk shit about different types of people, say things that people want to say but are uncomfortable saying. And I have no problem with that. That's a gift. But once you start to bully people, right, we have to understand, going back to what I said, it's a power play. And the power becomes addictive. And if it becomes addictive, you want more of it. And so she got worse as it got to the point where all those things came back to haunt her because she got away with it. And if we're not holding people accountable, then they're going to continue to do it.
you
It's
know
just
what's
how it
so
is.
yeah, what's so hideous about all this too is, I've worked and been a part of many adolescent cases where young girls, would get on the Facebook and they'd all be over at a slumber party and they'd all be bullying some girl, on Facebook, and they'd all be there typing things back and forth. And I mean, this is kids play. I mean, that's what's been going on for years. So I think what is disgusting to me is a grown ass adult with, everything that she has is doing this. And this is why I want to talk about the epidemic that is this in our society today. Why and what we can do to help stop this ridiculous behavior.
Well, I think first we have to identify that bullying is a social behavior. That means that it's a learned behavior. And if it's a learned behavior, that means it can be unlearned. So this isn't something that we can't fix. It's really about curriculum and putting people in places to educate people on what kindness is, what empathy is. More importantly, that words matter, as you said earlier. But one thing that I do as a professional in this space is I have something called "From the Playground to the Classroom to the Boardroom." Bullies exist because adults bully, not because kids bully. Bullying is a learned behavior. So when I say that, we always look at people, go, "Oh, I think it's so wonderful what you do with the kids." No, it's not what I do with the kids. It's what I do with adults. The adults are the problem because that's mimic behavior. There's something called mirror neurons. And a lot of that comes in your environment. So you're in a toxic environment and that's accepted, then you're going to become a bully. 50% of bullies that are bullied when their kids become bullies. I don't know if Chrissy was bullied, but she became a bully. And now, she's written a letter that said, she's sorry for all the things that she's done. And we don't know if that's motivated because she was canceled and she's going to lose a lot of money and she's hurting her husband's brand, or if it's really something that I want to hope that she can fix. But I think, to your point, why this is an epidemic is that we don't address it until someone's hurt. And we can't do that. If we don't help, something that's become a disease, right? It's the same endorphins, right? It's like doing cocaine or smoking marijuana, whatever it might be, whatever that high is that you get, people become addicted to it. And when you say a grown person, with so much to lose, they allowed her to get away with it. And then finally someone called her on it and other people looked at it because she had a brand. she had a contract with Target. That's a lot of money she might lose. So I just hope for the best that, you know, implementing curriculum early in life, having corporations have awareness weeks and really talking about these things within the office, um, creating safe spaces so people can flourish. I mean, that's one of my purposes. It's really to create safe places so people can flourish, so we can get the best out of people. And that's not happening. And a lot of times it takes a bully, because a bully has the ability to manipulate other people around them and say you're not good. And if you're not good and everyone believes the bully, then that's what happens. You start to cancel people out, and no one's really addressing that.
So I love, you and I have known each other a while now, and I love what you do with Be in the Know about bullying. I want to tell the audience, but, getting just like what you were saying is the behavior can be unlearned and the behavior is learned by the adults, right? So getting to the children young and using their peers to help unbully, to be there to mentor, to motivate and have each other's back at a young age, I think makes all the difference. So tell us about the curriculum in your program and what you can bring into the schools.
Well, the curriculum is something that has been customized for demographics across the USA. Why I say that is that I think that we all try to do this one check box that everyone's the same in America, and we're not. Atlanta, Georgia is not New York City. New York City is not Hutchinson, Kansas, where I grew up. And so we have to be able to understand that people and cultures are different, even though we all have the same in common goal. We want to be able to be prosperous and successful in life. My curriculum goes from K to 12, but it also goes into universities. It's something that I'm passionate about, but more importantly, I sat down with the curriculum specialist and I applied the things that I knew, more importantly, the things that the educators knew, on really getting to the core of how we can help kids channel and have the awareness. Because a lot of it's behavior. We lead with behavior. And if we could lead with better behavior and be more accountable of the things that we do, we'll have more empathy. And that's something that we're not addressing, is the empathy, right? Empathy just basically means this: having the ability to put yourself in someone's shoes and live in those shoes and understand what they're going through. And the only way that you can do that is asking them why they feel the way that they feel and listening and not responding.
Don't
So
you
those,
and also, the bystander having, if you see bullying going on, say something, back that
yeah,
person. Don't, a lot of people, adults and kids, there might be the bully in the room saying something that like makes them uncomfortable or whatever, but they kind of just, they're too um embarrassed or nervous or weak to say something and to stand up for
yeah,
that person. And I think accountability and having each other's back, no matter who you are. I mean, exactly as you're saying, have empathy, say
yeah.
something.
What we call those people are, we got upstanders and bystanders. The upstanders are the people that actually see something and act on it. Activation is extremely important in anything that we do. There's so many people that talk. I see people put memes up and so many different things on their social, but they don't act out the same things that they actually preach or print or post. So one of the things is really identifying what is an upstander, right? That's something that I could teach. What is an upstander? That means that when you see something wrong, you say something. And there's a difference between tattling and telling. Tattling means that your intent is to get someone in trouble. Telling means that you're trying to help somebody. So these small little things that I can implement from even adults, this isn't a child problem, it's an adult problem. So whoever's listening to this, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the 60-year-old lady that's mean to people. You're a tattleteller, right? You need to tell. The only time that you need to tell on someone is when you're trying to help them. But if you're trying to get someone in trouble, you're a tattleteller. And those are simple things that we could actually implement into classrooms throughout the country, and it's not happening. More importantly, once we identify the bully, what does the bully do? How do we reconnect that person even wants to be friends with you again? I have the skill set and I have the curriculum to be able to help those kids do that, and adults do that.
It's so important. I mean, these, my show is always about um, ordinary people doing extraordinary things, all with the motivation to either fight crime or, make life better for people. And you are an absolute example of that. I mean, you walk the walk, you talk the talk. So how can people find you? How can people find this curriculum and connect with you?
SeanLewisJames.com. And then the bullying site is knowaboutbullying.com.
Okay, I'll have all that up on my
Yeah.
website as well. So
Can I say, I want to leave with everybody with this, and this goes for celebrities, athletes. I wrote this out. It's a quote by Alabama's head coach, and it's something that I've always used as a staple to how I do things. It says, "Don't try to hide behind anything or anybody. They're going to find out anyway." And the meaning of that is the truth will always come out, right? What we're talking about is Chrissy, right? When you start to hide behind things and you know that you've done wrong, the best thing to do is confront the problem head on and say, "I'm sorry." And the second thing is, how can I fix this? And to everyone out there, right? If you've done someone wrong, including me, I've done a lot of wrong. I work on it every day. I've done you wrong. I need to figure out what I can do. I want your forgiveness. And how can I solve this problem to make our relationship better? And that's what I live by. It's important that we do that. And a lot of times people don't have the skill set after they burned a bridge on trying to repair it. And that's really what we're talking about. That's what bullies do. Because you got to remember, there's two ways that people are going to pay you in life: a credit card, or you paying them attention. And if you don't pay attention to a bully, they'll go away because you've taken the power away from them. It's very important that you understand all they want is your attention, right? Chrissy wanted attention and she got a lot of it. And so now, we're looking back at some of the things that she said, and I'm sure she regrets some of it. But it might be too late because some of those people now don't want to talk to you because you had an opportunity, because you were reacting versus sitting there and not responding or not being the person that's actually bullying someone. It can kind of spin you on your head and most definitely affect you later on in life.
Absolutely. Well, you certainly did us right today with all of your words of wisdom. I mean, seriously, Sean, everything you say is so real and clear and to the point. So I so appreciate you being here today. It's so good to see your face after all this time, still up in New York. Anyway, hope to see you one of these days in studio. We'll do another one in studio.
Well, let me say this. I love what you do. You are someone that I go to. I think what happens is that when you find your people, whatever that might be, you're one of my people. And I keep you close to my heart because I know what I don't know, you'll be able to answer. And all of us out here listening to this podcast or this viewing, understand, find your people, find the people that you know will answer your call, find the people that know more than you, and find the people that ultimately want you to win. And those are the people. And you've always been that for me. So thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you, Sean. All right. We'll see you soon.
Take care.
He's okay. I'll have all his connections up on my website, his Instagram, all of it. You have to check him out. He is so motivational and so inspiring and so smart. Anyway, so as we do, I am going to read you some tips of, if you are being bullied and what you can do. So number one, and this goes to all ages, these tips are kind of geared towards, adolescent, but as we see, I mean, this goes to people of all ages. So know that it's not your fault. What people call bullying is sometimes an argument between two people. But if someone is repeatedly cruel to you, that's bullying. You mustn't blame yourself. No one deserves to be treated cruelly. All right, most important, don't respond or retaliate. Sometimes a reaction is that's what Sean was saying, exactly what the aggressors are looking for because they think it gives them power over you. And you do not want to empower a bully. As for retaliating, getting back at the bully turns you into the bully. and can turn one mean act into a chain reaction. If you can, remove yourself from the situation. If you can't, and this is true, I use it. If you can't, sometimes humor disarms or distracts a person from bullying. Save the evidence. So the only good news about bullying online or on phones is that it can be usually captured, saved, and shown to someone who can help you. You can save that evidence in case things escalate. Hey, tell the person to stop. Now, this is completely up to you. You don't do it if you don't totally feel comfortable doing it, because you need to make your position completely clear that you will not stand for this treatment anymore. You may need to practice beforehand with someone you trust, like a parent or a good friend. Reach out for help, especially if the behavior is really getting to you. You deserve backup. See if there's someone who can listen, help you process what's going on, and work through it. Again, a friend, a relative, an adult, anybody that you trust. Use available tech tools, all right? So most social media apps and services allow you to block the person. Whether the harassment's in an app, texting, comments, or tagged photos, do yourself a favor and block the person. You can also report the problem to the service. That probably won't end it, but you don't need the harassment in your face. You'll be less tempted to respond. I'm sorry, I just totally read that wrong. Anyway, if you're getting but this is important. If you're getting threats of physical harm, you absolutely need to call the local police. And if you're a minor, tell your parents and have your parents go down to the police station with you. Also, consider it, if it's happening in school, consider reporting it to school authorities. Physical is not okay. You also want to protect your accounts. Don't share your password with anyone, even your closest friends who may not be close forever. And that can happen. A password, make sure you have your phone password protected as well. By the way, there is a website, passwords.connectsafely.org, that can help you keep all that secure. And lastly, if someone you know is being bullied, like we said, step in, take action. Don't just be a bystander, be an upstander. Just standing by can empower an aggressor and does nothing to help. The best thing you can do is to try to stop the bullying by taking a stand against it. If you can't stop it, support the person being bullied. If the person's a friend, you can listen and see how to help. Consider together whether you should report the bullying. If you're not already friends, hey, even a kind word can help reduce the pain. At the very least, help by not passing along a mean message and not giving positive attention to the person doing the bullying. All really, really important information. I hope that anybody out there that is being bullied will get some help, and anybody out there that is writing mean messages, doing things for attention, just remember, using the internet is always out there for God and everyone to see forever. All right, so again, I love getting all the messages from you guys. I just put a message up on my Instagram saying, hey, if you have any concerns about safety that you want me to cover, any ideas for shows, if you want to come on, let me know. Instagram is The Safety Chick. Twitter is The Safety Chick. Facebook is Kathleen Gallagher, The Safety Chick. And my website, safetychick.com. Until next time.
She's like the female James Bond.
She's safety chick.
The safety chick.
I love that safety chick. That's
She
what
calls
it is.
herself the safety chick.
I was a stalking victim, having to learn every possible aspect of personal safety to stay alive.
The safety chick. We love her.
Yeah.